Hello, we're moving into automated homegrown veg in the United Kingdom, so it's time to do some soil maintenance. The tomatoes are finished now in the greenhouse. Now I've brought the buckets and bags outdoors and I've started taking the root balls out of the buckets and the bags to recover the soil. These are the roots from some of the tomato plants. They'll be going in the bin. They're going in the bin because I don't have a compost pile here at Homegrown Veg. Something you might have down the allotment, you might want to put these on a compost pile, or if you've got a big backyard. But if you've got a small garden like me, you won't have a compost pile. These would take forever to break down. So these are going in the bin. But the smaller roots, they break down great. This is a root ball that I haven't broken up just yet because I want to show you the base of this root ball. Those are the roots from the tomato plant. They've wrapped around the inside of that bucket. They've gone to the bottom of the bucket, and some of those roots have actually gone through the bottom of the bucket. So that's the root ball that you get from a tomato plant growing in a bucket. This is a root ball from a tomato plant growing in a bag. Now there's every danger this is going to fall to bits when I lift it up, but I'm going to try anyway. What you find is, in a bag, the roots try to penetrate the fabric and are burnt off by the air when they come in contact with the air. And that's what we call air pruning. With a bucket, there's virtually no roots left in the bucket, but with a bag you might be able to see those roots. So let's have a look at the root ball from a tomato plant grown in a bag. As you can see, it's a much looser affair, and there doesn't appear to be as many roots in there. And they certainly haven't got to the bottom of the bag and started swirling round as they did in the bucket. They've got to the bottom of the bag okay. They've tried to penetrate the fabric, and then they've been burnt off when they've come into contact with the air. So that's an example of air pruning. Does it make for a better root system? Well, you've saw my tomato video where I got the pebbleometer out and we done a which is best. Grow tomatoes in buckets, grow tomatoes in bags. Yeah, you decide, make a judgment, watch that video. Okay, so what happens next? So I'm going to break all this soil up, and what you must try to avoid is having any bare soil, particularly in autumn and winter when nothing's growing. You really need to feed that soil. So I'll break these soil balls up. The small fine roots will break down, they're not a problem. The big bits, they'll go in the bin, and I'll cover this raised bed with a layer of chop and drop. Which usually consists of seaweed because I live close to the seashore. And leaves, because the woods are fairly close too. But we've had some calm weather lately. There's been very little wind and the tides haven't been too high, and so there's no seaweed. But I live close enough to be able to go down most days and check it out. And when there is some seaweed, I'll bring it home, I'll mix it with the leaves, I'll chop it and drop it all over this raised bed, and some of this soil will actually go back in the buckets. to overwinter in the buckets and I'll cover that with a layer and chop and drop. That's how we roll here at Homegrown Veg. If you've got soil and you don't know what to do with it, I would suggest you do some maintenance on that soil. Just try and get an organic chop and drop onto it and let it overwinter. You needn't do anything else. And because it's winter, there'll be no smell, there'll be no flies, and there's no more work to do. So let it go through autumn and winter, and in spring of next year it'll be fired up and be ready to go again. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this video. This is Homegrown Veg, signing out. A few days after I shot the first part of this video, the seaweed arrived. This is it. What I've done is, all those soil balls have been broken up and raked out flat on the raised bed and then covered with a layer of seaweed. Now this seaweed hasn't been chopped yet. As you can see, there are some long pieces in there. Seaweed hasn't been chopped yet, and that's because the leaves haven't arrived yet. It's early autumn and the leaves haven't started coming off the trees yet. So what I want to do is, we'll leave this seaweed on the raised bed until we do get the leaves. Then we'll take it off and then we'll mix the two together and we'll make some chop and drop, and we'll bring it back and put it on this raised bed. And the other thing that'll happen in the meantime is, this seaweed will get a few showers of rain across it, and if there is any salt on it, which there isn't, or very little should I say, then that residual salt will be washed off by the rain. Okay, so I'm not intending putting any water across this. The autumn weather will do that for us. Now I'll give you a link to a couple of videos that you might want to watch after you've watched this video, if you're going to have a go at this chop and drop using seaweed. What I will say at this point is that the mix is a green and a brown mix. The autumn leaves being the brown of the mix, and this seaweed, believe it or not, is the green of the mix. Okay, if you don't live near the coast, if you can't get any seaweed, use grass. When you mow your lawn, your last cut in autumn, use that grass. Use that grass and the autumn leaves, mix them up, chop them, drop them. You've got a green, brown, organic chop and drop mix. Use that. Any bare soil, get it on it. And all you need is an inch or two. I won't be turning this over. Once this is chopped and dropped on here, I won't be doing anything with this for another 3 or 4 months. Nothing at all. Okay, watch those videos. Watch the videos I'm going to attach now. This is Homegrown Veg, signing out.